Oh, where are we at?
We're at Mattapan Square. It's interesting. Put my phone down. I used to go grocery shopping in that grocery store over there. It used to be called Farmers Market, AKA Haitian Market, because this was a predominantly Haitian community. It's diversifying a little more. There's more like Latinx, Haitian, Caribbean, but Mattapan is still the only neighborhood in the city of Boston that has 70% Black home ownership. And that's kind of like a huge deal because that means the community is extremely engaged in everything that's going on in this community. So the community organizations are very engaged, but I always say there are elders. So we really had to mobilize the younger community members that still live in their parents' homes that, you know, a lot of our parents bought multifamily homes in the 90s. So a lot of us are still here. A lot of my friends are still, as a matter of fact, one of my childhood best friends was in that green house right there when we were going through the process. And it really is a community that is very much like family. A lot of people are wondering, how come Mattapan Square hasn't had a dispensary? We've been legal for over 6 years. And this was actually the official first location of Pure Oasis, the first first dispensary in the city of Boston. Actually, it just happens to also be a Black-owned dispensary.
Shout out to Kobe.
Shout out to Kobe and Kevin. They started here, but it was a church. They couldn't get the church to not fight them. So when I found this location, I called Kobe and I was like, yo, what happened? They told me you tried to do this. And he said, man, we were gonna be the first. We didn't wanna be in a fight with the community. And at the time, Tito Jackson, Apex Noir, downtown Boston, shout out to Tito too, was around the corner and had gotten approved for Verdant, a dispensary where the old laundromat is at Mattapan Square.
Okay. And
it was gonna be a buffer zone conflict. And it didn't make any sense to try to open the first dispensary out here with a buffer zone conflict when the whole rest of the city was open.
Right.
But the city of Boston, especially the predominantly Black communities, there's a lot of churches. So Kobe had his own church fight out at Grove Hall as well, because there's a huge church across the street. But they've been such good neighbors. It's like nobody cares at this point. It's, I think people were just afraid of what it meant to open a cannabis store. And in our communities, the war on drugs looked very different. Even in this community, if you walk around the corner, you still see the heroin epidemic, the opioid epidemic. It's happening right in our communities. So there was a lot of fear around what it would look like for a dispensary to be here, across the street from a church, around the corner from one of the busiest sectors in the city, and next to liquor stores and daycares. And that's my little cuz pulling up on me, because this is the hood. What up, sis?
Yo, I really loved it.
I gotta go say hi. How are you, baby?
Oh my God.
Hey, sis.
Oh, listen, how y'all doing, man? Mattapan Square. All right, this is Big Sis from the gutter. All right, when I was out there in my little chocletas and my church dresses, all right, now I'm grown. Coming to see my mom across the street, and they go, Big Sis right here in the square.
Ain't that dope?
Loving it, loving it, loving it. Get back to what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mom. I love you. Yes, yes.
So listen, it's Omari, founder, CEO of the Best Dirty Lemonade, as you know. This is another episode of My Friends in Cannabis. Right now, we really have my friend. We have Miss Dru Ledbetter. What up, Dru?
Hey, how you doing, baby?
And you notice I said her name twice. She's so nice. You got to say it twice. Well, let's talk about this, man. Let's talk about how you transitioned into cannabis, what brought you to cannabis. Let's talk about how you found yourself, and now nobody calls you Dru. They all call you Dru this. Let's talk about everything, man.
Let's do it. How did I find myself in cannabis? I was a nurse, and I was going through a crazy divorce 10 years ago, as well as postpartum. And I had really bad insomnia. And I talk about this all the time. I'm sure I've told you a story 1,000 times, but nothing else was working. And I was like, what is gonna work? And my therapist was like, try cannabis. So I got into weed because I needed to sleep.
Okay.
I had trouble sleeping, nothing else was working, and I started consuming. I actually had to find a dealer that would roll me a joint. The joke of the day, they used to roll me $20 joints for the week. I would take 2 hits, go to sleep. It was crazy. But I literally started consuming, and the more I consumed, the more I realized I was like, oh, I feel normal. Like I was able to go back to work and, you know, get back into my life and get my career back in track, but I could not talk about it. I could not talk about the weed. And I think that that's where it really started creating like a tension with my own integrity. Like, hey, who are you? What are you really doing? Like, what do you stand on? And honestly, the universe made me stand on 10 toes down. My first NECAN was right after the pandemic. And NECAN is the New England Cannabis Conference. This is 2021.
Okay.
Right after the pandemic, I got fired on my day off.
Wow. Wow.
In the lobby of
Calling
NECAN.
you Craig.
Call me Craig, dog. I got fired on my day off. I was at NECAN. My boss said, can you hop on a quick call? And I was like, shit, I always have my laptop with me. Bet. I go in the hallway right before the speaker rooms. 8 minutes later, I had a job that literally a month before had just given me a half-year review. That was stellar. Fire me in 8 minutes and they couldn't tell me why.
You think it was because of a bad piss test?
No, we didn't get piss tested. They wouldn't tell me why. I had to get a lawyer.
Okay.
So I always call my former job, because I can't mention them,
Right.
my first investor. Because it was that settlement that allowed me to start investing my funds into the business and start paying rent and start securing this location. It was that investment, but it really also was the relationship in the community. Because I was trying to tell you earlier, that first dispensary was supposed to be on Blue Hill and Morton.
Right.
Right where Spark FM is now. And we literally didn't have a good experience there with the landlord. It got switched out. We were coming back to the community, yo, we gotta go. And they're like, no, you don't. We're gonna find you another location in this community. And I was like, okay. So the Mattapan Main Street's president at the time introduced me to her landlord, because Mattapan Main Street's, their office is in the next building upstairs.
Okay.
That's actually where our office is, in the next building upstairs. I'll tell that story later, because I have to have an office outside of the dispensary because I'm a mother. And where am I supposed to put my kids?
Right.
They can't go in there.
Right.
So once we are open, they can't come in the building. So Leslie and I have an office next to Mattapan Main Street upstairs, to be able to manage the fact that we're mothers and we have kids and we're in this industry. Yeah.
Yo, I love that. So here we are, right? The name of the dispensary is going to be Zeb, as we can see. What does Zeb even mean?
Zeb actually means grass, right? In Haitian Creole.
Okay,
And I'm sure you've heard Creole, like there's a Haitian restaurant 3 doors down. So you've heard Zeb means grass. And it's really the mother and the anchor and the core of every ecosystem in the world. Every ecosystem has a grass. The other thing that is really cool for in Miami, every time I got off the plane, because I had locks, people would be like, "Où les Zeb?" And I was like, why would I want grass? But it was weed. So it's a slang word per se in some areas of the country for weed. And we just wanted to really honor our culture and our language. That's something Haitian Creole is not the national language of Haiti, which bothers the life out of me. French is. The colonizer language is the national. So I wanted to honor our language and our community by making everything we do essentially be around the language of Creole, which is a very dope language. And it's a very creative language.
Yo, I love that. Let's walk inside and let's go see, where we're at. And let's talk about some of the pitfalls that people have to anticipate when entering the cannabis, especially the dispensary aspect, the retail aspect.
We have Zeb flower coming out. Our first pre-rolls are coming to Advanced Cultivators, and Advanced Cultivators are primary suppliers for the pre-roll brand in-house.
I love that.
We're also trying to just source from the top people in the state, because Zeb flower is not about the brand of the pre-roll, it's more about the quality. And I think that that's the part that everybody forgets. You can put out a pre-roll and then people start putting trash in it because you're hooked on the brand. Our brand is predicated on quality. So it's like, if you meet these testing criteria, then you are eligible to be Zeb flower material. And it's really based on definitions, which what most things should be. Honestly, we need more guidances in this space to really define what's good weed, what's bad weed.
We do.
Right now, everybody's just claiming that they have the best shit.
But you know what it is though, right? So yes, I agree with you, but I also think that weed is super subjective, because what you could like, right? I could hate. Like if you like the biscottis and the cheesy smells, and I like the super gassy and like, let's say the sour diesel, right? I may think it's amazing. You may be like, nah, I hate that.
Correct. I'm a sativa girl. I'm like a 5-hour energy, early in the morning, sativa. I run on my weed. I do a lot of my activities on my weed. And the thing is, people are not educated enough, because this is only conversations we had in the underground. at our events that were already social consumption events, at the barbecue, at the cookout. What do you got? What's in that bag? What you got? What's it smell like? Ooh, like everybody's opening a Ziploc bag and taking a whiff. That's like the culture that people are trying to duplicate but can't quite figure it out because we're not educating people to have those types of conversations. So we keep trying to get to the conversation without the education piece. And then people are just like, I want to feel like this. And it's like, that makes me feel like that, but it might give you anxiety.
Right.
Like, I know a lot of people that if they touch sativa, they're paranoid as hell and they can't get shit done.
Absolutely.
If I touch indica, I'm gonna sit on that couch for 4 hours.
Couch lock.
Listen, in the couch, like literally. But it's like you educate people. Another thing that we're very focused on is informed consumption. I need to help people define their own plant-based journey because I had to define my own plant-based journey by microdosing, figure out what strains I like. And a lot of people just want to hit you with the fire, hit you with the weed, get you really high.
Hit you with the highest.
They don't realize that your sticky customers are the ones that are going to make you that money. The ones that come back because you educated them and now they need this one product every single week.
And now they look to you. No. She set me up right. She looked out for me. I want to only go to her. I don't care that I passed 3 dispensaries on the way.
Correct. It's the customer experience. It's the education piece. And I think a lot of people are not focusing on education. They're focusing on hyping up brands and having dope events. We're also not talking to consumers. Gap. Boop, boop.
Yeah, no. That's a huge gap. It's a huge gap that we have in there.
That's because people are afraid to be consumers because of the stigma.
Shout out to Canna Shame. Canna Shame Network is a network of ladies who started just a movement to kind of destigmatize cannabis, right? They're in Atlanta. 2 lovely ladies, Yolanda and Angela. So yeah. It's the same movement, right?
Yeah.
I love that you're attacking that.
And
you have a customer education focus, right? I can't wait for this place to open. So, how long have you been paying your rent before you open? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how Black and brown businesses can sustain themselves.
correct.
When getting started.
I will say if you don't already have resources, this is really, really hard and you're relying heavily on the charity of people. And that's why a lot of our Black and brown equity applicants are like basically ideal targets because there's a lot of like, I know weed, I know the culture, I know this, and I qualify. There's not a lot of business and operations and organization and systems that you need to have in place for a business to run if you're not the only person selling the product. When you are in the hood, you're the distribution manager, you're the inventory manager, you're the marketer. If you don't pull up, your stuff don't get sold.
Right.
People come back to you. When you have to create systems, you haven't built the trust that it takes to create systems, and you don't have the discipline it takes to enforce these systems to deploy your product at a scale. Nobody talks about this stuff. And it's like,
nobody talks about
I'm like, it's good. Like, I love a good legacy operator. I love a good legacy operator that also knows how to run a business or that has had a business. Like, there's a lot of legacy operators that I know that have had other businesses or have been in corporate spaces and were able to transition into this place. I mean, most of us have been doing legacy shit for a while. That's how we do R&D.
Right.
I'm not gonna build a facility to do research and development when I can make some stuff in my kitchen and be like, try that.
Shout out to the lemonade. Yeah. No, I totally get it. I mean, that is my story, right? And whenever people ask me how I did it, and whenever people always want to discredit my story when they find out that I was a lawyer, right? Like with law school, they're like, oh, that's why you do this. No, right? It's the business know-how, right? It's picking up a book. It's trying to figure out how to make this work. So at the end of the day, this is cannabis. This is a cannabis business. No matter what you do here, you have to run a business. You have to have SOPs. You have to have procedures. You got to know that I can walk away from this and give you these SOPs and you can follow along, make it happen, right? Because otherwise it's just a job.
Correct.
And I can't walk away from this business. I'm always a slave to this business. So yeah.
Correct.
So yes.
I want to be able to set this up, pull away, and develop the other things that are part of this ecosystem. When we're talking about product development, that is something I spent 7 and 8 years doing in healthcare. Every step of developing a product, from quality assurance, safety, testing, focus groups, all the things that that's how we're developing our product. it's easy to just make a product, but it really is, what is the formulation? What's the formulation that works? Who is your supplier? Like, so when you're doing all this, like, is your base your IP? Is the weed that, like, just an added in? Like, all the things that I wanted, you know, we've been talking about, like, do I want to give my recipe to that manufacturer? Do I trust that they'll protect it? They may not. They may distribute it somewhere else and not tell me about it.
Right.
And they have more dollars than I do.
Right.
So guess who's gonna actually get my product out and distribute it better than I can? Somebody with capital. Right. So it's really building the ecosystem so that you then can develop products that you know have worked in the legacy space with your community and put them here so that everyone has access to them legally and without worry. Also, they're safety tested, quality tested. Like, we can't put crap in stuff that has to be tested before it goes out. That's the component. We're trying to, like, how do we bring all these wonderful things that we do in legacy for community, right? Using the plant, using the whole plant, create a space where people can learn about it and then create products that they are already familiar with, that they're willing and connect with and can talk to. And that's kind of the vision of Zeb.
I love that. I love that. I know your friend, forgive me if I can't remember her name. She has a chain of barber shops. Right?
Yes, Pamela Lane.
Yes, Miss Lane's. So she has a chain of barbershops, but in her most recent store, her newest store, she's gonna have a community grill.
Correct.
Right? I love that idea.
Yeah.
Is that something we can do here, or do the regulations not really allow for it?
So the regs don't allow for it, and a lot of people have found ways to hold events at their dispensary or create spaces in their dispensary that are different. We're looking at creative ways to not have anything on the sales floor so that if we want to have a community conversation. But I think the most important thing we did was make sure that we had parking out there and had outdoor space that is not under the purviews of our license, that we can have community events, that we can have backpack giveaways, that we can have, you know, my children attend education and community engagement things, because it's really hard for me to do all these things and I have to keep my family life separate, because I'm all they got. So it's like, how do I then create spaces and community engagement in a way that is family oriented, is educational, it does not promote consumption. It definitely focuses on educating young people about diversion and the effects and the impacts of the plant, but also does not keep us sticky under the license. You can't have kids here, you can't. So we have an outdoor space, a different parcel, a different lease, that is our parking spot, but we also hope to activate and engage the community out there. We're gonna do a mural. There's this thing called Plan Mattapan. They're trying to paint the wall. They have local artists painting the walls, and we're gonna be able to participate in that.
I love that.
But that's just because we had to be strategic and learn. The laws seem to think that we're selling biohazard fuel here. I literally,
They treat us and the way they tax us, what do you think?
you would think we're like taking people's organs and sell them at the store. Like, it's wild how much they hunker down on our behinds.
Listen, Dru, I appreciate your time. I'm sorry I called you Dru. Listen, Dru, this.
It's okay.
I want to give you this right here. This is really inspired by you. This is our formulation of our classic lemonade. Lower sugar, lower calories, lower everything, right? So let me know what you think about that. You don't have to drink it right now. Our new flavor, right? Don't say it on camera. Still keep it a secret.
I'm gonna keep it a secret.
Well, you the second person I gave any to outside of my team, all right? So I gave some to Gary only because Gary was available a little earlier, but you are the second, all right?
I appreciate it.
Let me know what you think.
I will gladly let you know.
Let's kill the market. I just know it is.
I know it is. It's delicious. And I think that's the part about our industry now. We listen, and we're listening to what the consumers want.
Absolutely.
I love your lemonade. I'm also a runner. Leslie gives you a lot of hell about the sugar content.
Right.
And you were like, you know what? That makes sense. There's a lot of people in our community that need lower sugar and need a higher dose. And you adjusted. And that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point.
We're here in the land of Lululemon, and we gotta stick with the consumer. And so if this is what it is, this is what it has to be.
The land of Lululemon. I love it. Yeah.
So I appreciate your time, man. We about to get
For
out of
now.
here.
Yes, sir. Love
you.
you much. Thank you.